you were one of the toughest guys in the locker room. Is that a fact? Is that true? You were like a guy not to be messed with.
Well, that's what they say. I'm nice, gentle, easygoing Dan. I don't know whether they got that vicious rumor going around. I don't know.
Well, I guess it is true with the Adrian Adonis, right? I mean, that fight you did get, you did knock him out, I guess, so to speak. You did kind of take him clean out, right? Or is that a little bit exaggerated?
No, that's the stories you hear about that are pretty true. Yeah.
How did it go down? What happened with Adrian? He was just, mouthing off, or like, what was he trying to do? What was he trying to accomplish?
Adrian was a bully. He had a reputation of being a tough guy, and I guess from what I hear, he was. I mean, in the Funk's territory up in Texas, he used to challenge people if they could stay in the ring with him for 5 minutes. He gave him $1,000 or something, and he beat up a lot of guys doing that. So he had a reputation of being a tough guy, and he was getting ready to work with Hogan doing the beautiful Adonis or whatever his gimmick was. And so they were feeding him underneath guys, and he was being really stiff with everybody and cussing them out in the ring and just being, beating them up. And so I knew this, and I worked with him, a television taping or something in Canada. And, he was pulling the same crap with me. And luckily after the match, Davey Boy and Dynamite and Scott McGee and some of the other guys got me out of the building, took me to the hotel. And so the next night we're in Flint, Michigan. And George the Animal Steel was supposed to work with Adrian. And George got sick. He was in the hospital or something. And so Pat Patterson came to me and told me, well, you're working with Adrian. And I said, I don't want to work with him, And Pat comes back. He says, Adrian don't work with you either, but Vince says y'all are working together. I said, okay. And so, the same crap happened again, and it pissed me off. And so I changed the finish to the match. He was supposed to go over, and I said, he's not going over tonight. I told the referee that. He said, this isn't the finish. I said, I changed the finish. And so, see, those guys didn't know that I'd already lived another life before I got to the WWE. It's, I didn't break into the business until I was 34. And everybody thought I was a lot younger than that, and so, but they didn't know that I used to be in a pretty rough crowd in Florida. And I'm sure it took everybody by surprise, but they learned real quick, I didn't play that, kind of games and stuff, so never had any problems other than that. Maybe in Japan I did, but they soon learned,
Absolutely. So Adrian attacked you backstage after you changed the finish, or what happened?
Oh, well, he was knocked out in the ring. I told the referee that I changed the finish, and I said, just to DQ me. So he came into the locker room, and he tried to leg dive me. And when he did, I would hit him, and each time I hit him, I split him open. And, he was pretty bloodied up. But, not much more.
I think it was Bret Hart that was talking about it, saying like Adonis was super tough. He used to beat up all the other guys. He goes, but then you meet the guy that can kick your ass, and like that changes the complexion of everything. It's like you could beat certain guys, but you don't pick on like Dan Spivey. I think he's basically was like the moral of the story. He's like, you could beat up this guy, but let's leave Dan Spivey alone. Like that, he's basically kind of intimating you were one of the tough guys. That's one guy you're probably not going to win against, basically.
Yeah.
You agree with that statement, though? You agree with Brett? That's probably accurate.
Yeah, I would say that's pretty accurate.
After that, does Vince fire Adonis, or did he get mad at you? Like, what happens with you guys and Vince?
So the next day, I was told you need to call Vince, and so I called Vince, and he says I can't have you beating up my talent. And I said, Vince, he wasn't very talented. He kind of he kind of laughed, but then he said, "Dan, I'm serious. If you do that again, I'm gonna let you go." I said, "Okay," but he wasn't very talented, Vince. So that's all was said.
Did you stay much longer after that?
No, not really. So, no, about a month later, I was like, oh.
I gotcha. That was when you got injured, and then he was paying you, and then.
Oh, no, this is long after it. This is before,
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
Vince obviously was not happy with either one of you guys, right? That was going on.
Oh, I don't know what he said to Adrian. I don't know. Adrian had to take like 2 weeks off.
Man, crazy. Just crazy to think of all the stuff because now there's cell phones and social media, but crazy the stuff we don't know about that happened, right? Back then. I mean, whew. And you guys were on
Thank
the
God
road way more.
back then. That would have been terrible having cell phones back then. I don't know. That would have been bad.